Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawks Recap Show, and welcome to another video. And it's long overdue, but it is here, the 2024-2025 53-man roster for your Seattle Seahawks. And oh man, we got a lot to talk about, and I'm just here to give my thoughts on the 53-man roster and my excitedness for this season as a whole. So before I ramble on a little too much in the intro, let's get straight in to this video, shall we? As it's a new look in Seattle for Ryan Grubb, Mike McDonald, and John Schneider. And let's start off with the offense. So we start off with the starters, and obviously at QB, we got Geno Smith. Didn't really see much of him in the preseason. He only had one drive in the preseason finale against the Browns, where he went, I believe, 4 for 5 and had a touchdown to DK Metcalf. But let's talk about the backup QB and let's talk about Sam Howell. He played a lot this preseason, all 3 games, and his stats really didn't knock your socks off. At least it didn't knock my socks off. But the thing that really impressed me about Sam Howell this year, and the reason why I was very happy with him in my Seahawks game recap videos, where I recap every single Seahawks game that is played for this season, is that I explained his decision making is so much more improved from when he was a commander last year. This guy is now in a position where he's going to be the backup behind Geno Smith. He's going to be able to learn behind Geno Smith what to do, what not to do, instead of being thrust into positions like he was with the Commanders, where he had to start and learn on the fly. And he did very well this preseason. So I'm happy for him being the backup QB. We have nobody on the practice squad for the QBs. So those are the 2 QBs of this season. For the running backs, let's get to Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, and Kenny McIntosh making the 53. Kenny McIntosh obviously was fighting for that running back 3 spot, and he gets it. And what a preseason this guy had. Amazing from him, honestly. Great running between the tackles. He had some plays in there that were it's just really nice to see. And with him being injured last season all year, he didn't get a single snap. And this year, he showed us what he can do. He's come back with a vengeance, and I'm so glad to have him on the 53. He did so well in preseason. And as a running back 3, you could do a lot worse than Kenny McIntosh. We have no backups, but we do have somebody on the practice squad, and a lot of Seahawks fans wanted him to make the 53-man roster. It is George Holani. And to be completely honest, George Holani had a fantastic preseason, the UDFA out of Boise State, and him and Kenny McIntosh. That was basically who was fighting for the running back 3 spot. And you know what, George Holani, great preseason from him. It's just the Seahawks and GM John Schneider wanted Kenny McIntosh to take over that running back 3 spot. So still good to be on the practice squad. Good to see George Holani still with the Seahawks. We'll see if we need him in the coming future. Let's talk about wide receivers. Let's talk about the 3-headed monster, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Those are the main 3 guys that Geno Smith is going to be looking after at the backup positions. You got 3 other guys, Jake Boba at number 4, Laviska Shenault at number 5, and Derek Young at number 6. Now, Laviska Shenault, let's talk about him for a moment. He was signed in free agency with the Seahawks, and man, watching his preseason was amazing. He did very well. He reminds me a lot of what Percy Harvin used to do for the Seahawks back in the day, an elusive wide receiver who can just when he gets the ball in his hands can run like the wind. He's also going to be a punt and kick return specialist for the Seahawks, and just can't wait to see what this guy does. As for Jake Bobo, we know he was going to make the 53, after his really good showing last year's preseason. A lot of people really liked him, and a lot of fans stood behind Jake Bobo, so he makes the 53. And Derek Young finally gets to make the 53 as that sixth wide receiver. Happy with him. Big body, is able to run really crisp routes for himself, and just knows where to be. Quietly putting together a good preseason gets you a spot on this roster, and that's exactly what he did. Let's talk about the practice squad for wide receivers. Esof Winston Jr. joins up for the second year in a row. He had a really good preseason himself, leading the Seahawks wide receivers in receiving yards, but he is 27, and I think that mainly is what drew Derek Young in rather than Esop, but still good to see him on the practice squad. And then you got Cody White, the guy who in the preseason showed flashes of what he could do, but he is back on the practice squad for the Seahawks. And for the tight end group, it's Noah Fant, Pharaoh Brown, and AJ Barner with backup Brady Russell on the squad. Let's talk about the starters for a second. Noah Fant is the pass catcher tight end. Pharaoh Brown can also catch passes, but he's a lot more of a short yardage situation guy and a terrific pass blocker. And same with the rookie AJ Barner from Michigan. Just these group of tight ends. You've got two blocking tight ends, and then you got the big hitter in Noah Fant. And with this Ryan Grubbs offense, I can't wait to see what he does. Ryan Grubbs showed us in the preseason that he likes to establish the run with his tight ends blocking, so it's really nice to see. Brady Russell at the backup tight end spot had a good preseason. Had a couple of catches there, had a couple of good moments, had a touchdown in there. Good to see him make the 53 just in case one of the tight ends goes down and is not ready to go, because Noah Fant and Pharaoh Brown have had some little bit of injury issues this preseason a little bit. So glad to see Brady Russell on the team. And on the practice squad, we got Tyler Mabry. He's a guy that, again, like Pharaoh Brown and like AJ Barner, is a pure blocking tight end. So good to have him on the roster, even if it's on the practice squad. But let's get to the O line, and let's get to the starters. Left tackle, Charles Cross, Anthony Bradford at right guard, Connor Williams at center, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, and George Fant at right tackle. In the backup positions, you got Stone Forsyth, you've got Olu Odotimi, you've got Christian Haynes, Soto Lamrira, Jalen Sundell, and Michael Jarrell at the backup positions. And for the practice squad, you got Max Pritchard, McColdun Curtis, and on the physically unable to perform list, you got Abraham Lucas still with his knee issues. I've heard no word on whether he'll be back in time for week one or not, but he's still on the PLU, so he's not going to be participating in the first 4 games at least. And to be honest, with this offensive line, they knew that. They knew Abraham Lucas was not going to be ready to go at the right tackle spot. That's why they brought in George Fant. That's why they have Michael Jarrell. That's why they have guys like that, just in case of that eventual reality. And it happened, sadly. But you look at this offensive line, Charles Cross, great left tackle, really nice to see him. Anthony Bradford, this is your time. You won the starting job, dude. You've got to put in some work. 1 year under your belt of experience. It's time to be pretty darn good. And I hope Anthony Bradford has a really good season. Finally, getting a guy in Connor Williams, who at center has been a beast for the Dolphins. That was a terrific signing, and I stand by that. I like that guy. Laken Tomlinson at left guard is just a guy who's got some veteran leadership in him and has done pretty well in his sample size. And you got George Fant coming back, former Seahawk, and he's going to take over for that right tackle position until I would believe Abraham Lucas is healthy and ready to go, as he did have a surgery to deal with on his right knee. And again, this is the season for Abraham Lucas to get better because when this guy is healthy, oh man, can he be a difference maker? And according to this Ryan Grubb scheme, he likes establishing the run too. So I would really love to see Abraham Lucas come back fully healthy when he is ready. My thoughts on the offense, and I was really happy with the preseason from the offensive standpoint for the Seahawks. Ryan Grubb is looking really, really good and can't wait to see what he does with this roster with the amount of talent. You know, I really like the Ryan Grubb's system. It not only gives me a breath of fresh air, but I like the amount of little motions he does. I like his kind of scheme with the motions not only he does in the preseason, but he's also got a very explosive kind of tendency to his offense. Again, I'm not a big college football guy. I have said that in the past. I didn't watch him with the University of Washington, but I really like this offense. I really like what's going on. And I, again, have to kind of humble myself because it is just preseason. You know, it's no longer the Shane Waldron offense where we're going to probably be running it on second and long and throwing screens to Jackson Smith and Jigba on, third and tens and things like that. I can't wait to see what this offense does. I really like it, and I hope it all goes well for this Seahawks team. Let's get to the defense, and I'm going to try not to ramble on too much in this section. So bear with me here, but let's get to the D line and let's get to the starters. It's Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy, and Jaron Reed. The backups include Jonathan Hankins, Mike Morris, and Miles Adams. The practice squad includes Cameron Young on the physically unable to perform list, Kenyon Barnes, and Diverse Livingston. And as we get to the starters, man, Leonard Williams, fantastic mid-season trade for the Seahawks. I really like him. He's been a steady force for this team, and getting a full year of him under the belt is going to be so nice. He signed a new contract. Can't wait to see him in a full season of Seahawks uniform. Byron Murphy, man. Byron Murphy was double teamed a couple of times when he was playing in this preseason. He's touted to be the probably the best defensive player in this class, at least at the D lineman position. And man, if that's true, oh, it's going to be so nice having him on this team. And then you got Jaron Reed, who is no slouch himself, kind of in that mentor role, is ready to do what he can on those ends and everything. And it's going to be really nice. You look at Jonathan Hankins, guy coming over from the Cowboys, big mentor factor, can come in at D line if he needs to at the DT position. You got Mike Morris, a guy who is a fan of the Mike McDonald system because he was there at Michigan when Mike McDonald was the defensive coordinator, so he knows it well. And Miles Adams, just a guy who is just a really solid option as a backup player and rotational player at that. You look at the next portion of this list, and it is outside linebacker slash edge. And I put starters Boya Mafe and the newly converted D lineman Dermont Jones at the edge position. You got backups for Derek Hall and Travaris Gibson. And you've got the practice squad slash PLU list. Uchenna Nwosu is on IR. He suffered a illegal chop block in the final preseason game against the Browns last Sunday. It's an MCL sprain, and it's 2 to 6 weeks. And this really sucks because Uchenna Nwosu didn't get to play last season because he got injured, and I believe it was an Achilles. I believe it was either an ACL or an Achilles issue that he had last season that took him out for the full season. So that really sucks. I hope he gets well soon because as much as I love this edge group, I would really like to see Uchenna Nwosu on the field for the Seahawks. It'd just be so great to have him back. We've got Tariq Smith, a former pick of the Seattle Seahawks. He gets a second stint with them. And just for insurance, we also signed Titus Bowser to the practice squad as well to help out with the edge. Let's talk about inside linebacker now, and it's a totally different looking inside linebacker group. Jerome Baker, Terrell Dotson, and Tyrese Knight. And you've got backup Drake Thomas. And on the practice squad, you've got Michael Barrett and Patrick O'Connell. No John Radigan. He got signed by the Panthers, and no Jamie Sheriff either because he also got signed by the Panthers. But if you look at the inside linebacking core, Jerome Baker is a guy that I'm a big fan of. If you know anything about me and Jerome Baker, I love when he was on the Dolphins. He's a tackling machine. He's a guy that's gonna hit you hard every time. He kind of reminds me a lot of Bobby Wagner in that sense. And if you can just have him healthy and starting, we'll see if he starts week 1. But I think this inside linebacking core will be a really good one. And considering what Mike McDonald showed us in the preseason with the backups, this should be a fun linebacking core to watch. But let's get to the secondary and let's get to cornerbacks. The three cornerback starters, it's Reek Woolen, Trey Brown, and Devin Witherspoon, along with backups Naima Pritchett and D. Williams as a fifth option slash punt returner and kick returner for the Seahawks. Him and Laviska will be sharing those duties. And for the practice squad, you got Artie Burns, Josh Jobe, and Fayon Hicks at those positions. And this cornerback group, so glad to have Reek Woolen back healthy. Can't wait to see what he does this year. Considering that last year was a bit of a dip, his sophomore kind of slump. So we'll see what he does this year. I have full faith in this guy. I love this guy. He's a great player. He showed us what he could do in his rookie season. So with this new look Mike McDonald defense, can't wait to see what the secondary does. Devin Witherspoon, freak of nature in his first season last year as a rookie. Big tackler, is really gonna get excited. On the sidelines all preseason long. He was a guy they kept panning to him. He was just jumping up for joy and everything. So I can't wait to see what this nice group of corners does for the Seahawks. But let's get to safety. It is the starters, Julian Love and Kayvon Wallace. I put there at the starting safety position. I don't know if he's going to start. It's between Rashawn Jenkins, for that spot. But I put backups Rashawn Jenkins and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant this preseason, great job from him. Great showing. Very aggressive on the ball. His transition over to safety last year was a bit of a learning curve, but now he's got a full season of that under his belt. And this preseason, he showed out, getting an interception. He could have gotten a couple of more intercept. Like he could have had like 3 interceptions this preseason alone, considering how much he was flying to the ball and things like that. But you get to the practice squad, and it is Ty Okada, Marquise Blair, and on the PLU list, it is Jarek Reed, the second recovering still from his ACL. This group of safeties, man, I really like it. Like Julian Love, glad he's back for another 3 seasons. Kayvon Wallace, a guy who I'm actually really starting to like because um I liked his mic'd up segment that they did when he was facing the Browns. He seems like a leader. I already liked Kobe Bryant. I liked him when the Seahawks brought him at corner. Now he's moved over to safety. He looks very good. And Rashawn Jenkins is no slouch himself. He's proven, when he was on the Jaguars that he could be a really big factor in that secondary. So just looking at this defense, it looks a lot better on paper. There's a lot of unproven things here, but we'll see what this defense does. And for the special teams, it's kicker Jason Myers, punter Michael Dixon, and long snapper Chris Stroll. Jason Myers and this special teams unit. Jason Myers, 8 for 8 in preseason. Missed a couple extra points this preseason, but that's again just getting in the groove of things. I don't think he'll miss too many more extra points this season. We'll just have to wait and see. I like Jason Myers a lot. Glad he's on this team. Glad he's a reliable kicker for the Seahawks. And Michael Dixon, just what do you say about him? Great punter, one of the best punters I've seen since John Ryan, and glad to see him making the 53 as well. My thoughts on the defense, just like I said, for the offense, I have to stay humble and realistic because it is just preseason. However, I'm really excited to see what Mike McDonald has shown us throughout this preseason. It was so good. The way he was like he wasn't even doing much motion. He's a guy that likes setting up his defense, and then it looks all similar. It looks all similar, and then right as the ball snapped, everything changes and it confuses quarterbacks. And that's how he ran the Ravens defense last year. Can't wait to see how this group of guys fits into that system because in the preseason, getting a lot of sacks, getting a lot of pressures, um, getting an interception here and there in the preseason was great to see. So can't wait to see what happens on Sunday for this defense. I know it's just preseason. You're facing second and third string guys, but man, all I want from this defense is to be able to stop the run and make sure open field tackles this season. If they can do that and provide a little bit of pressure on opposing quarterbacks, this Seahawks team should have a good record and potentially a wild card spot with their name on it. We'll see what happens. One thing I will say about this 53-man roster is I was really surprised, just like most Seahawks fans were, that Jamie Sheriff at edge and DJ James were not part of even the practice squad. They got waived. Jamie Sheriff gets picked up by the Panthers. He's now gone to the Panthers. John Radigan, also same story. He gets picked up by the Panthers as well. But DJ James is still out there. I don't think, as of this recording, he's been signed by anybody. But, looking at who the Seahawks have on paper, this team should be very good. Again, I'm looking at a 10-7 record for the ceiling for this team just because it's all new. But that's why I'm so hyped. This team right here in 2024, 2025 is new. Let's enjoy this, Seahawks fans. Let's enjoy the breath of fresh air that's going to come into this organization because it was kind of stagnant there for the last 14 years under Pete Carroll. So I'm just excited to watch some football. I'm so glad it is back. But anyways, that is my thoughts on the Seahawks 2024-2025 53-man roster. I would like to know your thoughts in the comments section down below about, what you think about this 53-man roster and how you think this season will go. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. That'll be week 1 as I do the Seahawks game recap against the Broncos for you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like. And if you'd like to see any more future content from this channel, please consider subscribing. There'll be a lot more videos out for you guys throughout the season, so you won't want to miss out on any future uploads. Hawks go, and Take care of yourselves. Have a good day.